Welcome back to Cards and Comics, and today I am live from New York, back from my trip from Indiana, and hopefully you saw some of the videos I posted there. I mean, they're card-related videos, and this is going to be all comic books, no cards, but um, the one thing I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit before I go into my video is, that trip was so card-focused because when I was in Indiana, collecting both cards and comics was not very common. In fact, only me and another guy I really that I ran circles with that was doing the same thing as me. And now it's a lot more common. You see a lot of card and comic related channels and people who do both. But when in Indiana, the time I was doing a lot of shows and setting up as a dealer, there was not a lot of people doing both. I was invited back to the big sports fest they're going to have in June by the promoter who wants me to do both cards and comics because he feels like that would be cool to have someone doing something like that. So I'm going to do that hopefully in June. And but in the meantime, I've got to go to Chile. So I've got a big trip coming up to Chile. I don't think I'll be doing much card collecting and comic book collecting in Chile, but if anyone knows of cool places in Chile to buy comic books, I will definitely do that if I'm there. But I don't think there's going to be much of an opportunity, but we'll see. Now back to the comic books. Here is a lot of the raw books I picked up. Now these first books I'm going to go through are what I call random pickups at the comic book store that actually are worth more than the cover price. So I was able to pick up the Black Panther 3, the second printing, and this is the first Tosin Adewale. So it's the second print, but it's already going for 10 or 15 bucks on eBay. And obviously the first print's, selling for a whole lot more. But it's cool to pick up the second print just, for the $5 or $6 cover price. Now, second up here is the Campbell Strange One variant. And this isn't, like I said, this isn't a big dollar book, but it's a cool cover. And it's going for $10 or $15 right now on eBay. And that includes some shipping. So the way I look at it is like if you have to pay $7 or $8 and then another $5 shipping, that book is like a $10 or $15 book just to get it to you. So at a card show or a comic book show, I'd say, okay, well, you're gonna spend $10, so I'll charge you $8 and you'll save $2. Or if it's 15, I'll charge you 12 and you can say $3. So I'd say like a book like this I'd price between $10 and $15 depending on how solid it was selling on eBay. But again, this is again a $10 to $15 book on eBay right now. Next up is Strange One, another Strange One. So I have a lot of Strange number ones, a lot of good covers in that book. This is the Art Germ. This is not the version. The version's going for almost $200 right now. And this one's going again 10 to 15. So to me, it's a good. If you want the artwork, you don't mind the the actual trade on there, trade dressing. It's a cheap way to get the book and the art. And to me, $10 versus 200 is a good deal. Next up is a book that actually I was a little surprised that this book was still there at the LCS, and this is the Carnage Forever variant, Miles Morales 36. And again, this is going 10 to 15, but this is a strong 10 or 15. I think this book is going to be a $20 or $25 book pretty soon. Miles variants, once they get some heat to them, do take off. And to me, I think a lot of Miles variants, really, are sought after. When I go to comic book shows, I get at least 4 or 5 people every show that want Miles variants and pull everyone I've got. And I've had some guys just buy every one of them. I've had some guys really looking for the hip hops or looking for specific ones. And so this is a cool one. I think this will be a $20 $25 book someday. And picked it up for cover price. This one is not so expensive. This is like a $5 book, right at a little bit over cover. But this is the Miles Morales Kyle New variant for number 37. I think it's a cool looking book. I like the almost like a Spider-Man 2099 look to it. So dig it. But not a big book right now. Next up is a Spider-Punk variant. So this is the Wolf variant. All Spider-Punk ones, are selling pretty good right now. This is not an expensive variant. I do have some of the cooler variants coming in. I don't have them yet. I've been gone for like a week, so I've got a big mail day coming up with all those books. So I've got some of the cooler ones. This one is a $5 or $10 book, and again, it's a cool book. And a lot of people are excited about the character, and so yeah. And last but not least is Reign number 1. This is the Ben Harvey numbered out of, 500 comic print run. And again, this is a Joe Hill story that's been made into a comic book. Getting a lot of great pub. This is $15. I really think this is going to be something that could gain some legs in the secondary media. Joe Hill is already had some stuff optioned and made into stuff, so he's Stephen King's son, and I feel like he's going to continue to have more and more things optioned and made into media like his dad. I mean, he already had Lock and Key, so I would say that looking at this book and just the story, I think just the first issue alone could be a TV miniseries or a movie. So there's some really good, let's say art and very good story here. I'm a big fan of iFanboy podcast, and they were all over this series in this issue, or the last issue. So I think this has got some legs, and it's got a lot of good reviews. So now going into the non-LCS pickups, this is interesting book, just a cool cover. This is from 1968, Marvel Superheroes number 15. And I just picked it because I thought it was a cool book. I like it when they have these kind of solid background colors with these characters, and I just picked it up because it's fun. It's not a super expensive book. It's like $15 to $25 in this kind of condition. And it's a very thick book as well. So I like, I don't have a ton of just fun 70s, 60s, and 70s Marvel books. And so here's another one, Master of Kung Fu, number 19. It's supposed to be like the first Lu Sun. It's got a cool Man-Thing cover. This is actually a very nice copy of this book. It's in pretty good shape, I'd say, very fine, or maybe even near mint. And this can go for $45-$50, in high grade, $30 on the mid grade. So it's a cover that I think it's cool looking. And again, a lot of those 70s books right now are really heating up. And speaking of some books heating up, I picked up these two very nice XMen books in a lot. They said they were near mint. They definitely were in good shape. So here's 102. There isn't anything real special about 102, other than it's just a cool Juggernaut cover, Dave Cockrum cover. You're seeing a lot of people picking up, Cockrum and Byrne covers and stories. Just having all the cool X-Men books from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And so just in near mint, this book raw brings like $100 and more, just to have this cool cover. I just feel like, everything in this time period is going to be hard to find in near mint shape in the future. It's just getting locked down. You used to be able to go to back issue bins and pull these 100 X-Men books in the hundreds all the time, and now they're not there anymore. There's very few out at comic book shows anymore that aren't priced in that $100 range. So again, picking up these books and just putting them back is what I'm planning on doing more and more often. Because I do a ton of variant comics and newer comics. I don't go back again to the 60s and 70s and 80s and pick up these really key, I call it like minor key books, but they're very important for people completing runs. And the good covers bring more money. And just like this book 108, this is the first burn issue of X-Men. So um, I think this is where you get, you know, this is a very nice copy for one thing. It's definitely close to near mint. It's got like a little spot here. So maybe it's very fine plus, but it's real clean. It's got one little ding on the cover here. Um, but it's the first burn art, first story. Um, and so cool Cockrum cover. So this is going to be a minor key forever, and it's just going to keep going up. This book, sells between 60 and 150 bucks depending on the condition, and it's hard to find them, and I just can't emphasize enough that when you're at shows now and you go to comic book stores, you should always be looking for the McFarlane Spider-Mans. You should be looking for any, Cockrum, Byrne, Fantastic Four, um, X-Men books, just pitting those issues back. They're going to continue to go up, and I think people are going to do runs again. People forget in comic books, people do collect runs. They put whole runs together. They don't just buy one issue at a time. Sports cards, people will collect a player, but they won't collect a whole set. In comic books, this is like a player. This is like Mike Trout. X-Men is like one thing, and people will collect all of a run or all of a story. So it's more likely that these minor keys keep going up because people keep needing them to complete runs in series for them. I do think that these kind of books are always very safe and stable. So if you're getting into where the market's kind of like going down on some major keys and you're worried about, I want to spend some money on comics, but I don't know where to go, those back issue X-Men and Fantastic Four and Spider-Man books are always great money to dump into and just hold long term. New Mutants 17, again, this is Danny Moonstar, variant cover. The problem with Danny Moonstar is that she just has too many names, like Valkyrie, Mirage. I mean, gosh, I wish they just stuck with one name, because when you try to find her books, I'm just out trying to buy cool variants of hers, and it's like I have to Google or put in like 5 different names to find all the different versions of the character to get cool variants. But here's one I really love. And I'm finding more and more of them as I go. Like there's a new Defenders 4, Fearless Defenders number 4. There's like I want to say it's a Stephanie Hans variant. Like I saw one on eBay for $10,000, and I haven't seen that book in any other format ever anywhere else. So, that's the cool thing when collecting characters is, there's so many ways to collect, and there's so many cool ways to focus. And, I'm starting to get again into like these different Native American characters, and it's like, well, Danny Moonstar has super rare variants out there that are worth like thousands of dollars. I'm like, really? I did not know that going into it. Now I'm like, well, maybe I don't get that issue, but now I'm like, I really want that issue. So, it's what feeds the beast when you're a collector. When you find out, like, yeah, there are some really cool books worth a lot of money. Now, here's one. This is the Varegi Indigenous Voices one. 10 to 15 bucks. Cool cover. Whole series that I'm putting together. I have some of these graded as well. But again, just a cool Danny Moonstar cover. First, Yara 4. This is the second printing. Future State Wonder Woman 1. First appearance, but it's a low key book. It's $5 or $10. It could go up. Who knows? But it's just something I picked up. Trying to get more first appearances. This is a very cool book. This is a Raza variant. Miles Morales number 13. Now this is the first Billy Morales. A CGC 9.8 just sold for $370. This is going between 1 and 125 raw. And again, like I can't emphasize, like, okay, let's say you don't want to do 60s, 70s, 80s back issue Spider-Man, X-Men books, but you really like Miles variants, you could throw a dart and hit one, and it might go up. There's so many of them out there that people like and want. And here's another example of a Raza variant. There's the other cool Raza variant where he's like a DJ that's like still undervalued in my opinion. But again, this is $100 book, and graded it's like 370 as a 9.8. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, and it's got a first appearance in it. But these books don't really slow down, and I guarantee you go to comic book shows and tons of people are looking for those books. Now this one caught me by surprise a little bit. I picked this up, but this is the Derek Chew red, white, blue, yellow RWBY last issue, number 7. And this variant, there's 2 variants here. There's one showing just this character. I'm assuming that's blue. And her alone, that's about 80 to $100. But this version is selling a little bit higher now, 100 to 110. I've seen it go even a little bit higher. Just a really cool cover, but people love this character. I've watched the series on Netflix, and it was a good series, but I kind of like, didn't finish it. It's not 100% my style, but hey, it's definitely a cool series. I can see why people really like it, but this cover and some of these variants are selling really well. And again, Derek Chew, and pretty cool. I picked it up, and now it's worth like $100, a little bit more. So very nice variant there. Now this is obviously the second print variant. So this is the Sarah Pacelli variant. This book has huge swings depending on condition, but raw, I say 100 to 125 is normal, but I've seen it sell for 150, 175 raw. Graded, it's in the, I think, 300 range. So again, first appearance for Miles, second print variant. And again, Miles stuff is just really hot right now, and no sign of slowing down. Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider number 1. This is the Shannon Mayer variant. Now there's a version variant of this that's selling for, I think, $200. That's a lot more expensive than this. And again, like that Art Germ Strange 1, you can get the trade dressing version of it, a lot cheaper, still a great art. And again, I sell tons of Spider-Gwen books at shows, so no slowing down for that character, so I picked up that. Now, this is really just me PCing stuff. Like, I don't think this Nightmare Country Sandman series by itself is going to generate tons of value for a lot of books, like first appearances. It's going to be probably a very well written series. I haven't read it yet. Now there's obviously the Frison, Jenny Frison Death variant that I've already picked up 1 copy. My goal is to get 5 copies because of a few things. One, it's the best cover of Death ever made. She's iconic. She's the cover character that everybody wants in Sandman. And I don't know if anyone's going to make one better. Now they could, but that could become kind of like the best cover ever made of Death. And it reminds me of kind of like the Adam Hughes Zatanna covers. No one's done a better Zatanna cover than those, and they keep going up in value. I just feel like that's a limited book. It's a great cover, and I feel like collectors are going to really want that cover. So I'm going to try to get as many as possible. Now, I don't think $300 is where I want to be on that book. So I'm going to wait and see. But if I have to go in at $250 again to get one, I got my first copy around $200. So we'll see what happens. When that comes in, I'm going to show it off, but I don't have it in yet. The guy shipped it. It shows delivered at work, so we'll see. Hopefully I pick it up and it's there. But this is the Paquette variant, or Paquette variant. Not a lot of value there, $5. But I love the series, and probably end up getting a lot of the variants just because I like it. Batgirl's 5. This is, I think, Cho. Yep, Michael Cho cover. Just a really cool cover. I like his artwork style. It's very in your face, and I like his use of color. So I like his art. Not a lot of, not worth a ton, $5, but I just like it. So I threw it in here. And then last but not least is this awesome, probably my favorite cover in a long time for just, from a how I look at covers and the things I want in a cover. This is everything I love about variant covers, is that you get this, great image, tons of cool characters on there. But I think they were very mindful of the color palette used, invoking LB Cole. There's no way that if you're a comic artist, you don't know who LB Cole is, and you don't know that, green, orange, and yellow and red are basically the colors he used, and, and the combinations and the way he did it. This is an homage to LB Cole, which I really love. And it's just cool that it's a great art on its own, but the fact that they did it in a way that said, look, this is a throwback to the old horror comic books of the Golden Age, in a way that's, it's new today. I'm not sure a lot of modern collectors are going to realize, like, the way this book is done, the art style and the colors used is to invoke that kind of Golden Age feel. But hey, for me, it's cool because I love that style and I love that art. And so it works on all those levels for me. Maybe it's unintentional, but I just find it hard to believe that an artist wouldn't know that this style of art with those colors is basically, an homage to LB Cole without saying it. So, now it would have been cool if he said, like, in the style of LB Cole, but, like some people do. But maybe he didn't mean to do it on purpose, but it definitely reminds me a lot of LB Cole. All right, so that's the Raw books. Now, for the main event, for, why probably some folks are here, is for the graded books. And again, I'll go in order. The first one here is not going to be a major book because I screwed up. I got this book, and I thought it was the first appearance of X-23, and I just wasn't paying attention, and I bought it, and I'm like, oh crap, that's her second appearance, I believe, and it's the first appearance of Tatiana. I don't know. It's not high grade. I didn't pay a lot for the book. I should have realized when I'm like, oh, I put this big bid in and I won it for whatever I won it, like $70-$80. I'm like, oh, yeah, this isn't the book I was looking for. But I bought it, and, I paid for it. And, it's just things. You make mistakes sometimes. I just wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. And sometimes the covers, you just get used to seeing them. And for some reason, that didn't register that wasn't her first appearance. Ugh, Now, this book, I've never really paid much attention to because I really, just was looking for cool covers, and this popped up, and this is a Sam Keith cover. Marvel Presents 117. Now, this is not, there's nothing really iconic about what's in the story. It's just a really cool Sam Keith cover, and it's one of those interesting flip book covers. They don't really do these anymore, but you get two covers for the price of one. And there's nothing really big about the back cover. It reminds me a little bit of Tom McFarlane, of how he, what I think his art would be. But it's Sam Keith covers. But this, this Wolverine and Venom cover on the front is just killer. And, I think in the future, these kind of books in 9.8 only, this is definitely a 9.8 spec type book, where people just go, hey, this cool. This cover is really cool. I just want it in my collection. I only want it in 9.8. So this is what I call like a convention book. You put it out, you price it up a little bit, and maybe someone really sees it and goes like, hey, I don't have that book. I really want it. And you might be able to make some money on it. Now, next is the book I got from Comics Elite. And I really, I've got this raw recently, but I really wanted a graded copy. So I went ahead and got the 9.8. I got it at a good price. And this is just an iconic Stephen Platt, art and cover, an homage to Todd McFarlane. And again, I mentioned before, like, people do pit, this is after Todd. And, on the other cover, I said, well, that could have said, like, after Cole or something like that. And to show, like, I intended this to be an LB Cole knockoff, but or tribute, not knockoff, but tribute. Um, but Stephen Platt did intentionally make this after Todd McFarlane, so he acknowledges it, and it's basically the same type of cover of 300 with Moon Knight. With Moon Knight being very popular right now, this book is something special in my opinion, and it's a cool pickup for me because I've never had this in a 9.8, and as a Spider-Man collector mostly, having a crossover with Moon Knight like this, with Moon Knight being kind of hot right now, doesn't hurt. And again, this is a book that I could stick out in a convention, and a lot of people are going to look for it and realize this is like a really cool book to get in this kind of grade. So not going to hurt when I take it to conventions. And again, I've got it raw as well, so I've got a couple copies of it now. So I don't really need to have 3 or 4 copies of that book, so I could look to sell 1 or 2. Now for the big book. So these are the 2 big books I mentioned. The Silver Age Keys that I finally picked up. I've never had either one of these books, and I've tried to have them before, but I've just never been able to either pull the trigger, or I've had some sellers back out on me on the other book I'm going to show you. But this is X-Men 50, and the big deal here is, this is the second appearance of Polaris, Origin of Beast, the first new X-Men logo, those are all kind of cool things. But it's really about this Jin Steranko art and cover. This Polaris cover, I think it was used recently on the Skybox Metal X-Men set. It's iconic. Again, the use of colors here. Again, very, very indicative of LB Cole. But it's just, Steranko also uses these kind of colors and this style of art so well done. Just love this cover. I'm going after more Steranko covers because I just feel like they're undervalued. I feel like these are, not only iconic, but, they've stood the test of time, and he's done it with, I call them let's say A1 characters. He's made these iconic covers. So think about it. If this was like Phoenix or Storm or someone else, it'd be even more valuable. The fact that this book is so popular and expensive, the Polaris, just shows you how awesome this cover is. It's an 8.5. It's a good grade. It's not super high end, but hey, this is one of those books that I just think if you're into great comic art and covers, you're going to love this book and you're going to want it. And it's the first time I've had it, so I'm real excited. Now, my last book here, I tried to buy it last year. The dealer backed out, sent me a bunch of nasty emails about how stupid I was to think he would sell me the book for what I paid, which is very weird because it's through eBay. But it is Silver Surfer number 4, and so this completes my trifecta of Silver Surfer books. So now I've got 1, 3, and 4. I think those are the 3 that, if you're going to have 3 Silver Surfer books, besides his first appearance, those are the 3 that really are standing out. But this is the one that I think, the first Loki is a great book, but I think over time, people just with Thor coming out with a new movie, Silver Surfer is going to be big at one point. This is what I consider to be, just the classic Silver Surfer cover. If you want one Silver Surfer book, not for first appearances, just for the coolest cover you can find, this is it. I think this is, John Buscema cover. Again, it stood the test of time. You're seeing tons and tons of of tributes to this cover. Versions of the cover now, because people realize this is like, iconic Silver Surfer Thor cover. And yeah, I've never had it in a 7.5. I've never had this book in any shape, really. And there's nothing, no first appearances. It's just a really cool cover. And people just love it. Every time I go to shows, this book gets tons of attention. And tons of people were looking for it. So really excited about it. I mean, I've never, the back is really pretty, very white. I think this book is very, it's got white pages as well. So again, this is a very nice 7.5. And again, super stoked. It's a thicker book, like a lot of these books were in this time period. Um, yeah, and I feel like, if it wasn't for this little bit of split spine right here, this book would have probably graded higher because it's so clean. So that's the books. That's the big pickups I've been talking about from Silver Age. Let me know what you think, and you know, my next video for comic books is going to have a lot more, a little more recent books, not so many older books. But I am going to tell you, I am after, and I'm tracking down a huge book for me, but it just got notification that the series got canceled, and that's Bone Number One. And Bone Number One, the series got canceled by Netflix. They're cutting cost, and all of a sudden, all these Bone Number Ones are on eBay, and I've got one. I'm trying to make a deal for. And I'll let you know next video if I get it, because I still love that book, and I'm glad. I'm not glad the series got canceled because I really wanted to see this series on Netflix, but I am glad that I might be able to actually get that book now without having to pay $5,000 for a mid grade. So there you go. That's my next big book I'm looking for. So there is my comic book update. It's been a long time coming, and I'm hopefully you guys liked it. Stay tuned with me, and there'll be more content coming very, very soon. So I'm back in New York. I'm back to making content on a more regular basis, and I'll see you next time on Cards and Comics. Bye.